available to you as an attachment or an email, the last report that we prepared. That, now you gotta stay with me on this one, okay? Because it's not really clear when you first hear it. Primarily because it's unbelievable, okay? They said that they submitted a last draft, they call it the second edition, on Thursday, that they posted it on Thursday, okay? Prior to that, in the first phase, we evaluated the book that was posted with a really nice picture on it. Got it? All right. So when they responded to our findings of error, we did our second review, okay? One of the problems that we have witnessed is that the page numbers on the spreadsheet did not correspond to the numbers in the book. Now we find out that the numbers that appear in the spreadsheet given to us in November correspond to the page numbers in the document posted this month on Thursday. Okay, what does that mean? You can interpret it in a number of ways. Number one, they undermine the process. I don't know who's involved in this. They undermine the process by confusing us, trying to confuse us to believe that we were commenting on the original text, but we were commenting on this November document that they purport to be posting for the first time for the public on Thursday. I question that very seriously. It's up to you to determine the truth behind this. But this is serious. This is a serious ethical issue, okay? The other way to interpret this is that our report that we gave to you is basically reviewing that document that was posted on Thursday. So we are current with the submissions. You see what I'm saying? Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, something very irregular has occurred here. And let me go back. I was just going to comment on the errors, and I will go through that in a minute, but I think issues were raised about procedure that are very, very questionable. What we have here is a peer review process. I wish the authors had been here, because they're our peers. No disrespect to Ms. Dunbar. When you write something, you stand by what you write. No one can stand in front of you. A publisher can stand and maybe answer technical questions. But in the end, the content of any book is the responsibility of the author. Why aren't they here?
Yes.
And why do they mislead us with different drafts of this document? I don't know. I don't like to get into people's heads. I only look at what is before me. And what is before me is highly irregular. So that adds to the lack of confidence in the ability of whoever it is, besides Ms. Dunbar, or redacting, reviewing, renewing this book. And by the way, I'll comment on something that I think very personal. I've dedicated my life to a peer review process. I rest on that, and that is, I trust that my work can meet muster among my peers. And I don't think they're doing this at all. Let me go back on the procedure issue. By the way, on this peer review process, regarding one specific thing that is part of the understanding of peer review, that is, a fact can be determined on the basis of valid, credible evidence. You can use your bureaucratic language and this bureaucratic culture, and I understand perfectly well that you have to. But don't forget that the peer review process is a peer review process. Okay? You have to stand by what you said, and they don't. October the 2nd, they claimed they made they submitted some changes. We never saw anything dated October the 2nd. I don't remember seeing it. They did submit something October the 6th. My question is, what were they revising in response to who? They claimed that they had received from the public some commentary about the veracity of their work. I don't know where they got that. They didn't get it from us. We didn't respond until October 26th. Isn't that right? September. But they're claiming that they're already referring the documents. We didn't make our report available to them until after that date. And then, of course, now they're saying that they have a new draft, and that the draft includes all our suggestions for revisions because of findings of factual errors. Now, let me now deal with this question about taking things personally. I feel that I'm rewriting the book for them. Seriously, I've devoted a lot of time. Please consider that in the deliberations. We recruited 26 people. We trained them. We agreed on the process. I monitored things. I coordinated things. I did the cross-checking, the quality stuff. I spent a lot of hours. This whole weekend I spent on this thing, okay? I don't appreciate it when people go beyond, when I make observations of errors. I expect people to treat me with dignity, with respect. I'm not somebody off the street. I've dedicated my life to doing this kind of work. At some point, you have to trust at what we say. I think that's very important. And they don't, let me give you an example of why I'm saying this.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying here, but I want to make sure that I have a conversation with you offline about, where there were glitches, if you will, because this is honestly the first time that we've had, as you know, digital materials submitted online. And so as they're being updated, maybe what we need to do is work out a good process to make sure that we do have integrity in the process and the public knows and gets notification and that sort of thing when a new version comes out or whatever. So we do need to kind of talk about that.
Well, I think it's very important, the question of integrity. Yeah. That's what I'm speaking to. My integrity is being questioned when this process has no end in history, and when the process has been undermined. I don't know who's been doing this.
Well, I think it's honestly, it's just that this is our first time through it this way, and because it's the first time we've ever required the materials to be submitted online. And so it's widely available to the public, and I think we've got some glitches in how we do this, and we need to work those out.
Well, I'm sorry, but they're more than glitches.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying this is pretty serious.
But I don't think there's anything been purposeful about,
I don't talk about intent. I never talk about intent, nor do I brand people ideologically. Right. I look at what they say and do.
Right.
Okay, but look, how much time did you give her? I'm taking, 10 minutes. But anyway, my colleagues can continue addressing these issues of process. I was the one who put together or coordinated this second phase of the review of the material that was available to us. Keep in mind, the material was shifted. I don't know who's responsible. You have a responsibility to find out, I think, because it's questioning my integrity. I understand that everybody's abiding by a formal process, that is verifiable. I can't operate this way. It's wasting my time. I could be with my family. I could be doing work. I do not appreciate being called here and then having to face what I think is very condescending. Not once do they agree with any of our findings of error. Not once. There are instances where they say, well, we don't agree with you, but we're going to go ahead and revise it because we understand there might be misinterpretation. By the way, when they admit errors in that manner, we don't count that instance as an error. We were very, very conservative. We don't count an error when they fail to relate these larger histories of Mexican Americans. We're only looking at the way they're using information to support what they say, and we believe that they failed for the second time. So please look at our cover letter. It'll inform you fully about all the people that were involved in the method that we used in this review process. I do want to pause and say a couple of things because Ms. Dunbar spoke about this. they did not respond to a substantial amount of information given to them or made available to them from my colleagues. I'll mention some of them. Independent historian Marta Cotera submitted material to this board. They did not respond to anything she said. Professor James Crisp of North Carolina State University, one of the leading Texas historians. I personally submitted a review by Professor Crisp. There is no response to his observations of errors. Jesus Francisco de la Teja. I also submitted a letter from him, as well as a letter from Andres Higuerina from ACC. John McKernan Gonzales also submitted his own review of the book. You can say all you want that there was an understanding that everything was supposed to be brought in together. Some citizens prefer to act independent of any organized group in this process. They had a right to be heard, and Dunbar had a responsibility to respond, or the authors had a responsibility. One other thing, one of my colleagues, in other words, they overlooked a lot of very important reviews, like critical historians. They also overlooked the commentary by Dr. Carmona. His commentary was in the packet that we call the Cortez document, the document that we submitted to Mr. Cortez and he then subsequently gave to you. His material is totally overlooked. One other thing I wanted to say, there's a lot of arrogance. Not only do they refuse to accept anything that we say, but they also claim the right to disregard anything that we say. Okay, that's very important. They're not only saying this is a social studies course, and it doesn't require them to say anything about Mexican Americans, leaving aside everything that has already been pointed out. At one point they say this, they dispute the conventional standard of peer review by claiming that they are not required to provide any particular content beyond what is already in the text. They say that. That is arrogance like I've never seen before in writing. I mentioned earlier outside, with the folks outside expressing their concerns with the book, that they treat their text like a Moses-like text. I know Moses and I know what's been written in the tablets. I know that. Their work is not supported by God. It is not a sacred document. It is fallible. They ought not to be so arrogant when they are told by professional scholars that they have made mistakes. The arrogance is unbelievable. And that's why I guess I'm speaking with the passion that I'm speaking. Thank you.
Yeah.